If I was talking about what stemless is, I'm attempting to actually look at the whole perception, the whole dream logic that I'm inventing in this moment, that I'm constructing, with the hope of taking those glasses off, even just a little bit, to potentially see reality beyond my construction. What do I think I know right now? What do I think I am? What do I think the world is or the other person is? Who are they in this drama that I've just constantly become certain I know that I'm living in? I know what's going on. And stemless is a practice of becoming confused about that. So instead of attempting to be seen, I'm actually trying to fall through. I'm trying to wake up.
The container is now open. This is going to go down, I think, as a really, really big episode of the podcast because we have the Stemless team.
Yes.
All right, last time we were in Europe circling with all the Transformational Connection folks. That was the big talk of the town.
Oh, yeah.
And so, and I didn't know what it was. And then Sai, you showed me some of their writing and I was blown away. It was, for one, there's just so rarely do you run into writing on the internet that's both important, good content and then also extraordinarily well written.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, whoa, okay, these guys have something is going on here. Something's cooking. And then Sai and I got to jump into some of their online events, and I have to say, they caught the tiger by its tail. This is that good stuff. They're going to have the true heads lined up around the block for this. It felt like old days, first learning how to circle. I was like, man, this is it. Here we go. Yeah. Yeah, so we got them on the pod. We have all the founding members here. We're going to have a big group discussion. You're going to learn about what Stemless is. And then, when you're dying to get some yourself, we're going to show you where to go to get a hit. And before we do that, of course, we'd like to thank our supporters. They went to patreon.com/thecontainer. And they offer to make small monthly contributions that keep this ship afloat. We just we had to buy a brand new computer today.
Yeah.
And we like to eat every day and stuff like that. And it's our sponsors that help that happen, So, and, we just really appreciate it. There's not a lot of places to go for conversations on the far out brave world of the relational arts. So thank you guys. First, just kind of like, where are you coming from? How you got into the position where you're inventing something like Stemless?
I'm Harmony. I found circling through an authentic relating games night in Portland, Oregon in 2017. I circled in Portland for a few years, and then during the pandemic found online circling and just really fell in love with that practice. It was very, very powerful for me, especially the place I was at in my life when I found it. And then after doing it for some years, there was like a curiosity about what more could happen beyond, or just, I felt like I understood the form and I was still learning a lot from it, and I think it's a very powerful practice. I don't like how I'm talking right now at all.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna stop.
I love it.
The podcast just feels so like real that it's, being recorded and it's somehow there's all these people out there in the future that are going to hear this. I'm sweating. This is so dumb. James?
I love this.
I feel a lot of love for you. I'm looking at you right now, Harmony. A lot of love. I met Harmony through Relatable platform. I was addicted to it all through pandemic and years afterwards. Yeah, and I was smiling a lot when you're talking about the writing. Harmony is like, for me, Harmony is our chief writer. Or Harmony and Sahil.
I'm Sahil. I also met both James and Harmony through the Relateful platform. And that was also during the pandemic. Actually, very early on, I remember, when Harmony and I would circle sometimes one-on-one. Yeah, that was maybe the origin, actually, where at some point Harmony gave the name without realizing it of a practice we hadn't started yet. Naming an annoyance at people speaking stems all the time. Why do people use these sentence stems before they say the thing? They pause first, gather together a sentence stem, crawl towards you, and then boop you, and then say that, you know? And so she just named this annoyance. I don't think she named it this way. And then I don't think we did much about it. I remember we did have a long bulleted list of circling satire. I don't know if you remember this, Harmony. I just remembered it just now. Where we had these sketches of how we will do circling moves just to make fun. Affectionately, of course. And then there was other thing that we used to do. Again, these are all before this practice started. Sometimes we would just sit with each other and then ask this question, what am I to you? Again, I don't know if you remember this, Harmony. I didn't even think about this before we started this conversation. It's just coming to me now. I kind of hid the origin question. But apparently I have a lot to say. And so this question, what am I to you right now, is actually, probably we'll talk about it in a bit. One of the sort of principles of the practice is to allow nouns rather than adjectives. So instead of the question, what is that like, which is maybe one of the main questions in circling, what is that like? Immediately bring someone into their body, into the subtle richness of texture. Also offers a kind of pacing. Like there's what is that like? Kind of settle down and then just caress some inner feeling usually. But instead in Stemless, we'll often ask, what is this? What is this? And it has a bit of a more, just a side, there's a bit of a jarring quality. It's kind of like a wake up quality. And perhaps we'll go into why nouns in a bit. I'll pause there.
I'm so grateful for circling. I am. I'm so grateful for circling. It changed my life. I still really love circling. And I think any person who circles for X number of years, they're going to naturally stop doing the stems and they're going to start being irritated by them and they're going to start speaking more in a more direct way. That's what I've experienced from people who facilitate, people who have been doing it for a long time. So there's incredible depth in the practice. It's still a different practice. Stemless is a different thing. It's hard to transmit, but it's a very specific thing that's different than circling. So we're excited to share it, and we often can explain it by talking about beginning circling moves that Stemless inverts, but that's in no way to disparage the practice of circling.
Yeah, so then maybe this is a good place to just capture what is stemless. It's the it is this powerful practice that really gets direct, but it has a lot of the honesty and relational meditation stuff of circling. It's just what is stemless?
And what is this?
What is this? And that might be harder to answer than it seems.
Yeah, one way that I've taken to describing it recently, I have many one-line slogans for it, is it sort of takes a lot of the things that you want out of relational practices, activities, skills, and really goes deep, really takes them really seriously until they all start reversing. So all the principles just kind of fall off, stems fall off. And so one reason that I think people get into relational stuff is that it's really a chance to explore finally being able to express your true self in connection, finally unmasking, dropping a lot of the scripts. And so it's all very exciting. Like earlier, I think Sai was naming a little bit of grumpiness. And then as she made it explicit, I don't know if this is part of the recording or not, but as she made it explicit, something freed up. And I think we were all sort of impacted by it, similar to when Harmony said, I don't like this, I don't like my voice. There's sort of things that would have remained implicit that are invited in. And that's really beautiful. So we can stop engaging in the conspiracy of avoiding all of that. And if you keep doing that, it's kind of really just not doable by normal people after a point. Like if you invite a normal person into a circle, say, and then you do this thing of just naming your body sensations and naming the awkwardness, that will make them, of course, very uncomfortable. And it's sort of like, why are you making everything so awkward? You don't realize that it was awkward and you're not making it awkward. It was finally revealed and had a chance to breathe and perhaps melt away if needed. And so I often say that circling is an extremely boring activity for people who are not weirdos like us. And stemless hopes to be an extremely boring activity for even circlers, where you really have nothing to work with. All of the usual things, just like in the same analogy, just like someone who's a normie coming into circling and they're just trying to ask you, so where are you from or something? And the circler's just like kind of triggered by this question perhaps. Or if they're more skilled, they'll feel into what it's like in the moment to be asked that and engage with the other person. But the person who's new is just trying to get something to work with. And then instead, the person doesn't answer the question, just tells them about body feelings. Like, what? And similarly, in stemless, as I said, there's just a reversal. You're not really talking about your true self. You're not really talking, in a way. We don't care about explicitness in stemless, in a way. Instead of this joy of making things explicit, what we're doing in stemless is actually befriending the implicit. We are no longer illuminating the implicit and finally giving it a chance. We're actually like, nope, the implicit is actually something you can directly befriend in implicitness. You don't have to turn it into something else. And that's I think possibly too difficult if you haven't been through that route of first making explicit the implicit. So we often talk about pre-ownership, ownership, and what we call either post-ownership or subtle ownership.
I'm curious to really feel into ownership as a core of the practice. That to me felt like perhaps the biggest, most life-changing download from the circling practice was learning to own my experience. So just the way that on a conversational level, I have found, and on a conversational level, having language that more owns my experience more, then trains kind of my inner thought process to do that more and more, and you effortlessly move away from victim mindset and a lot of other patterns that for me were really self-destructive, and maybe I didn't even appreciate that fully until getting more of that ownership. But then I noticed in the circling practice it can start to become very mealy-mouthed and overly burdensome and legalistic or something. Like, okay, I have to make sure I correctly own everything with my language. All my words have to be really well done. And in Stemless, I just found like, oh yeah, I can kind of to what you were just saying. I can sort of trust myself to just be in touch with that on an inner level, and then play in this other more direct space. That's really the experience I had. Yeah, and so that ownership part, this move you're talking about from kind of peri and then post ownership, that seems really fascinating. I'm curious if there's more there.
I'll just say two things, and maybe Harmony will like to add, which is this is kind of the fundamental question of the practice, which is what does it take to own your experience? That's kind of the inquiry that we have. So as you said, there's a more subtle thing you can do that does not involve language. And as we've probably all seen, using non-violent language violently is not so difficult. You can use whatever that, you can lose touch, as you were saying, with that inner sense of ownership. But then we keep asking the question as well as part of the practice, what does it take? And perhaps one answer is some inner touch. But then part of the practice is to keep rejecting answers and keep going deeper. It's like, really? Is it really the inner touch? What does it really take? And we keep refining and refining this practice of ownership.
It is about a kind of ownership that enables me to, in a way, fall through my experience instead of it becoming more and more real to me, more and more reified and sticky. And like, this is what's true. I really feel this and I know it because I feel it here. And I can give you all this inarguable account of my experience. I'm attempting to actually look at the whole perception, the whole dream logic that I'm inventing in this moment, that I'm constructing, with the hope of taking those glasses off, even just a little bit, to potentially see reality beyond my construction. And we have a lot of different ideas about how to do this, and we have different exercises and drills and lots of writing. But I think ultimately, for me, that's what it's about. And I can do that by myself. I can do that in a conversation with someone who doesn't know that I'm doing it. I can do it just sitting in a room. I can try to take that stemless view of like, what do I think I know right now? What is the thing that's just I'm taking for granted about my reality? What do I think I am? What do I think the world is or the other person is? Who are they in this drama that I'm just constantly become certain I know that I'm living in? I know what's going on. And Stemless is a practice of becoming confused about that. So instead of attempting to be seen instead of attempting to, see another person to establish shared reality about what's going on. I'm actually trying to fall through the reality that I would in other places be confidently trying to share with others. I'm trying to wake up. It's a continual practice for myself of attempting to wake up out of my construction and my certainty, particularly socially, but it doesn't necessarily have to be socially. And in that is a layer of ownership that is really profound, that I have found very startling in its ability to shift something that at times has felt so real, so gripping, so like unmovable, and almost in a moment it can shift into laughter when I'm like, oh, I was totally hallucinating, da 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 da, and then there's a way that it can happen out. I wonder.
Harmony, this idea of honesty, like what is honesty, right? Like what is being honest or radically honest, or honesty versus dishonesty. I know in circling a lot we'll say like, oh, I have a story that, or you imagine that something is happening for someone else, and it has me think about what Sahil said about kind of shaking ourselves loose from this conspiracy of we're all part of this like conspiracy of what is happening, and it just it has me like considering the word honesty in this new way, because when there's all these perspectives, and when you're widening your awareness or your perception beyond like your limited single pointed experience, that even like truth or honesty of what is happening right now changes or something.
I'd say honesty and truth, understanding also, just what understanding means and what seeing means. Like Harmony said, there's less of feeling seen in Stemless and more feeling seen through is a phrase that we've used. Which is more loving, rather than trapping you in some frame that you want to be seen in, that I want to be seen in, that I want to see you in, and just keeping that around. We just see through it. And the claim is that those are the projections that as they fall away, the connection underneath is revealed. And so the mood is less like two lovers in a roller coaster of a relationship with eyes locked. It's less that and more like best friends laughing with each other about knowing each other through and through, and not really naming necessarily, but somehow in connection in a more subtle way, which is kind of the exploration, to get at that subtlety, rather than try to answer the question, what does it take to own your experience with? It takes naming. That's a very common answer implicitly. What does it take to own my experience? Well, it's naming. Somehow if I name the truth, then I will have owned my experience. And so instead of that, we keep uncovering subtleties. And also, it's less about emotions and more about perception. We're owning our perceptions, which is a very strange idea. It's very strange to even talk about. I think it takes skill, just like it takes a little skill to discover that you have emotions. A very, very important skill that most people learn late in their adulthood, sometimes never. That you have a body, that in fact you can have an emotion in your chest. And so there's a similar disconnection with perception. Just feels like this is just how reality is. It's just the objective world. There's nothing to own over there. That's just you over there. Similar to the journey of like, I'm not angry, he's just wrong. And then you have to own that somehow. And here you kind of own your experience of, I'm sitting in a chair. How do you own the chair? It's a very strange idea. How do you own the podcast that we're in right now? how do I own that? Is the glasses that Harmony was talking about. It's kind of stuck to you. You've kind of like set it up. You're all very ready. There are people who are trying to probably attack you or want something from you, so you set up a perception, and you're drawing on them very well, managing your experience over here. It's all very lonely. And so the idea is that if you notice that, then the laughter can emerge. You can see the strangeness of throwing things on top of reality and relaxing this perceptual body.
One of the key technologies, I guess, for how you introduce people into this way of relating is through projection or skillful projection, using them as the way to kind of get into post ownership. There's sort of this whole new set of tools that, you know, when you do any kind of mindfulness, but especially relational stuff like circling or authentic relating, I think you know, there's sort of this implicit goal of eliminating projection. And we're not going to project ever again. We're going to stop projecting. Which in a weird way ends up like maybe even blinding us more to the projecting we're doing. You know, it's like you get rid of maybe 75% of the projections, but then there's this other layer that you never ever address because it's, yeah, now projection isn't happening, quote unquote. Yeah, that it was such a thrilling part of being in Stemless was like, I remember being in practice with this guy and trying to figure out the way to say the thing through projection. And it was like, whoa, it was very much like the first time circling when I really, when I grokked what circling was. It was, yeah, everything felt so new and possibilities open that I had never even considered in relating to this guy. Yeah, so could y'all talk a little bit about just projection and skillful projection as this core technology of what you're doing?
I have a lot to say, but I've been talking for a bit. Maybe James would like to jump in.
I want to jump in, but I don't want to jump in on that question. Like, again, I could answer that question, but oh God, I don't want to. Like, what's happening for me, I'm just noticing, like, even here, I want to be more free. Like, I care about the things that are on the bed and people seeing the things on the bed. And then I notice that, and then I notice I don't need to care about that. And I remember even being in circles, and I'd almost get frustrated with people. I'm like, look, we've just set up a new fucking castle to all sit in together. Like, let's drop that now. Let's be a bit freer. Because we're all aware, we all know that. And I'd get a bit impatient with people because I just want to be more relaxed and free. I don't want to be caught up in I don't want to be trapped in my own like expectations or the things I'm doing to please others. And in the communication, in the relation, I want to be free. I want to be way more direct. And in even like making meaning became like a trap, or yeah, there was sort of everything can just become a new rule and a new trap and a new way of doing things. And I want to be as much as possible. I was thinking a bit about like surrender, this concept of surrender, and I love the concept of surrender now. And I'm always asking myself, like, what am I surrendering to? And it's usually just dropping loads of things off my shoulders. It's kind of just, it's not giving up, but it's like giving up on these, like noticing these concepts and then letting them go, and just being more and more vulnerable, like more and more open. Um, I was thinking if I could tie this back to projections, but I don't want to. I just don't want to. I'm just thinking about like Sahil and I, like we just laugh so much when we're doing Stemless. We just giggle and laugh the whole way. And I'm like, why do I laugh so much when I'm looking at you now, Sahil? Like, why do I laugh so much? And it's because I'm like, you know what I'm doing. I know what you're doing. Like we both know already the concept of the things we do. We don't have to prove that to each other. And that means that I can then really like step out of myself. I can see the thoughts that James is having. I can like throw a few of those at Sahil. Some of them are like based on reality, some of them are not, but I don't really caring. I'm very like, here, do what you want with that. And then Sahil kind of ignores that, but also takes it in, whatever I've put on the table, and then like throws his thing on the table. And we both know we're doing it. And that experience for me feels incredibly relaxing. It's at once like I have to think a lot, but I'm really not thinking at all. Like it's very kind of like automatic. And then it just becomes this very flow state, this very free flow state that's incredibly playful, incredibly direct. I feel like I'm actually saying to Sahil what's actually happening all the time without too much fear. Yeah, okay, I can talk about projection. So when I'm then projecting on him, I'm often calling him like a bastard or a gangster because I'm projecting on him that he's being like cheeky and naughty because he's doing things that are making me go, people are going to judge that. Oh, they're going to judge that. Don't do that. And then I laugh because I'm like, oh, fuck, I'm just projecting my fears of how you should be making everyone else feel onto him. And then I know that he knows that he's like, breaking those rules, And then that feels incredibly fun and connecting. Like I just feel so loved. And I feel like he lets me really say exactly what is inside my head without too much. Yeah, I was going to say judgment. There's some other words, but I just let that sentence go.
And a challenge with saying I have a story that XYZ, like I have a story that you're not really listening to me. It kind of implies that when you don't say that, you're not projecting. A core tenet of Stemless is it's always projection. Like that's all we can do. We can't get out of it. And I project all over myself all the time. We're constantly projecting that we're this fixed person and oh, I'm having this intense feeling and I know why. It's because of this. And I know what I'm supposed to do right now. This is a podcast. I'm talking to a computer. I know what a computer is. I know what all of your roles are. I know what my role is. It's very clear to me. This is all projection. And so we practice in Stemless speaking with deep ownership that's implicit, where we're attempting to even own the projection of who you are. I'm just going to say it. And we also practice listening with the assumption that everyone is projecting and everything that anyone reveals is about them. It's a facet of their reality and their experience. And so you can receive it and make it about them. Um, yeah, I think along with the nouns, this kind of deep implicit ownership, even through what we call blamership, is definitely a core part of the practice, and it can lead to this incredibly liberated space where it almost feels like you could say anything and the other person could say anything because nothing is sticking. No one is getting implicated because everything is just about the person that spoke. And also things are falling away really quickly because there's an aspect of just attempting in each moment. Well, what is it now? Okay, you said this to me. Instead of me trying to figure out, is that true? Let me correct you. No, it was more like this. What does that mean about you? What does this mean about our relationship? I just receive it and then look again. Who are you to me now that you said this? What are you now to me? And that can start to create what we call jamming, which is like you're in this flow where you may be even saying things that seem inexplicable, but you also know in a way. And there's this just transmission of like your deep, like your backgrounds speaking to each other instead of getting just stuck in the content and trying to handshake about what everything means. You're just like speaking from this wider fact, like, yeah, the place from which just raw experience is, that isn't in this tidy, I'm gonna stop there.
Well, there's a lot of, I think, pain in the background. So this is kind of one of the key things in Stemless, which is the background is much wider, and we're playing with the whole background. Your background meets my background, and words are like just like the tip of the iceberg. Like the Hemingway metaphor. Other terms for that is like content and context. Like the context itself is at play. I think there's a lot of pain, and this doesn't need to be named. It's very obvious, as James was saying. You can see it right now. It's so fun. You can see how much pain each of us is in. We're trying to construct this sentence or this narrative. It doesn't need to be said any more than you got something in your teeth has to be said. It can be said if you want. We never get a chance. If you use this authority of the frame, such as I have a story that, then you never get to have that conflict at the context level. You never get to have that dialogue, maybe is a better word. It's tricky to try to own that, to own the context. Because as soon as you start doing that, you create a lot of painful ironies. For example, if someone, which is maybe my one-line answer, by the way, to why projections, because otherwise you create lots of painful ironies. So if someone says, like Harmony gave an example of, I have a story that you haven't been speaking much. I can't remember the exact words you used, but if you do that, you can feel the clarity, the fixedness of the system that's not going to budge. It's like a whole move, and that's touching something. As opposed to someone saying, we should all just start moving somewhere right now. It's kind of strange, but maybe you can see that that's more owned. It's someone just kind of living in their experience. We should all, it's a banned word, right? A should sentence, a we sentence. But there's a way in which that is more on. It's deeper at the context level, as opposed to, look, we all know this is how we're supposed to do things. And it's already fixed you, it's already made, it's already decided, okay, you are this to me. We're not going to talk about it. I have a strategy. Here's how I'm going to say it. So all of this is pretty instrumentalizing as opposed to this one. And so to do this hard thing of allowing the context stuff not to be named, again, that's what I was saying, it's not necessary. It is true that as you befriend the implicit, your explicitness should become even better. And you should be able to explicitly name even the more implicit things, but only because you let go of needing to be explicit. And so this whole idea of like, let's meet the context by projection involves doing this difficult thing of taking what feels objective, what feels like reality, what feels like authority. All of these words are basically things that can gaslight your experience. Things that we can appeal to say, look, here's how to do this. Here's what's going on. And we say, drop all of that. That's another one-liner for Stemless, become ungaslightable and become ungaslighting. Unmanipulable, become unmanipulating. So the first thing to do is to notice you are just manipulating the whole time. Maybe 0.0001% of it, you're like startled, if there's any inch. But most of the time, you know what needs to happen. this is the thing, this is what I need to do. And of course, it's very alienating. So I have some analogies to talk about why you might want to project in order to do this hard work of owning, because that's what we're into. We're into like ultra non-violence. That's what we're into. And so that's why we use these methods that look like violence, and people misunderstand it all the time. And we're still learning how to get them to see what we actually want to do. But it's a natural part. It's a natural part. That's why there's this post, Phases of Stemless, where we talk about the different phases people go through. You're all very excited first to finally name the taboo things, the judgments, the projections. You can finally tell people they're bastards, as James was saying. And so it's very exciting. You've got all this gathered stuff, like huge boulders in your body that you can just start pushing down the hill. And it's just like, okay, which thing can I push down? And then it's just wrecking everything. And it's just so exciting. People can take it. That's so awesome. This container can hold all of this truth. And then I think after a point, when you've like calmed down from the exhilaration, you might like just look at yourself and be like, wait, what am I? And you might suddenly have this more acid trip sort of curiosity of like, what? Wait. And the hope is that eventually you might pull your eyes once you've had your trip at another being, another human usually, and then be flabbergasted that there's another person that I'd never seen before. I was so busy painting pictures of things and I was so busy with all the logistics that I never saw a person before. And of course, if you see them, it's just this, it's just, I don't know, maybe Harmony will want to describe it. It's just this deep shame. Like, whoa, there's this God over here. So obviously it's just like, frustration is the first thing to do. And then you're scared, like the dog is like sniffing but very excited, but also like, fuck me, what have I been doing? And that's where some of the forgiveness and love and all of that is something to connect with. And I think it takes a while. We've been trying many ways to at least get people through this. I think that it goes even further.
Curious about what you just named just now, Sahil, about it takes a while, and the way I can imagine, and I think it's been named a little bit, that there is an onboarding, and that there are probably, like, I don't know, consequences. I know in circling, when people first come in, there's, that people have these big experiences, and, we call it like they get blown out, or there's like, the lack of understanding stays with them even long after the circle. And that is, sometimes, very painful for them, or maybe painful for the community if it continues. And there's probably confusion and frustration in those beginning stages. And I feel curious about how you all have been responding to that. I mean, because I imagine, there's in the actual event, like, where it comes up, but then maybe afterwards someone will reach out and say, like, what the hell was this? Or just how, like, in terms of leadership or facilitation, you've been responding to that, or you see that as it is like a growing pain, but if it becomes rampant and everybody's like rejecting of whatever this is supposed to be, then I don't know, that can become an issue too. So there's some question around that I have about how you've been.
I'll just say the other one-liner that I have for Stemless is friendship and failure. So as I was saying, like, there's constant failure at owning your experience. Again, everybody knows this, everybody sees this. We just agree to not talk about it. And so it's interesting. I think the default is there's a sort of reversion, I would say, to circling when someone has a. If someone's like, then we are like, okay, calm down. Okay, how are you feeling? Is there something you'd like to say? Kind of make things gentle. And I think that can be very helpful. I'm also keen on seeing, as we've observed in the practice itself, and as Harmony was describing, including in real life. I think Harmony might be able to share more here, but this extreme agitation, just this murderous amount of emotion, and then there's just, stemless is sort of like instantaneous. It's less like we'll circle around the thing and gather around and allow a huge release and catharsis. It's sort of like it's just laughter emerges. You see, when you get to like really blame someone, then you can't help but notice how cartoonish it is. You can't help but notice how you're really playing out these various stories. And because you don't have to describe things in details, you don't have to be explicit. It's just that touch that you were talking about earlier, Jonathan, being in touch with the ownership muscle almost. And it's like it meets. And so maybe Harmony will want to talk about that experience. I don't know if you want to say something right now, Harmony, about it. That'd be helpful.
Yeah, I was just gonna say I do want to respond to that invite and also like acknowledge that or just mention that yeah, we've had some like one-on-one conversations with people after their stemless experience, and we also typically leave a lot of time for debrief. And usually we stay, yeah, we have make a lot of space for that because we know that it can be confusing and jarring for people. But I do think the most common experience people have that's difficult for them is feeling like they want to get it and they don't get it. And like there's an inside joke that everyone else is getting, they're not getting it. Why am I not getting it? And it's it we're it's difficult because it is a view practice more than like a getting somewhere with anyone else practice. It's much less about trying to create something with someone else out there and much more about noticing that that's what I'm doing, that I am convinced that I'm in a world where I need to create something out there. It's about waking up to the rules that I'm following, to the construction that I'm living in, where I'm over here and you just need me to do certain things or we're not going to be connected. And if you would just do this other thing, then we could be connected. And all of these views that I have that I'm constantly regenerating. Stemless is an attempt to actually see those. And it kind of involves looking in a different direction than I ever was used to looking in before.
Mm.
And we have a lot of different ways of trying to help different people to do that. And some of them work for different people. Um, but I think that's kind of the growth edge that people face. And I think because people want to get it, we want to be good at things. We want to establish, no, I can do it. I do know what it is. I can do it. And other people seem to be having fun. And this is a move I saw them make. So maybe that's what Stemless is to make this move where I like say things about other people. So I'll just do that. Or maybe it's just you just say whatever you're thinking. So I'll just do that. But I'm still not getting it. Why is this fun for other people? It could be this thing. And so we do a lot to try to continue offering like different ways of coming at it because it's not about any of those things. It's not contained in any particular words you could say or any particular form. And in response to the invitation from you, Sahil, I will just say for me personally, I care so much about this practice because I suffer a lot as a person. I've been through a lot of I've been through a lot of difficulty in my life, a lot of emotional challenges and challenges with other people in my history. And I've tried to cope with that in many different ways. and relational practices have been very powerful in helping me to notice my emotions and to slow down and be with my body and notice my experience and accept my experience and share it. And there's something about this kind of really annoying reality that I'm never as small as whatever is upsetting me, whatever trigger has happened, whatever like happened to me in my past, whatever thoughts, whatever is like flooding me. I'm always bigger than that. There's always, I'm always like a whole awareness that is containing that. And it is possible to wake up weirdly suddenly to like this cartoon nightmare that just a second ago I was completely trapped in, completely certain. No, no, no. I need this world out here to change. I I just know that for sure because I am so distressed this needs to change. It's just clear and I have all these reasons for it and I know it. And there is a move that is possible where you notice and you remember that you're not that. You're not the reaction. You're not the construction. You're not the role. They're not the role. And it's just it's wild. I it's like but it's been like the best things that have ever happened to me have been these moments where I was so trapped in suffering and in like a minute or two I went to like laughing. Like what the hell? Whoa, what was that? I can't do it reliably. I can't do stemless reliably. I want to say that. I've been here since the beginning of stemless. I can't reliably do stemless because of you practice. And it's hard. It's hard to see. And like, I don't know. I'm not like educated enough to talk about the ego, but there's something in me that constantly wants to find the ground, constantly wants to like figure out what's true, what's solid, what can I trust, what's substantial. Okay, what are you? What am I? It's always doing that. And so it's quite hard to like find the there's like if I can fall through enough of those floors though, then it can open out into that laughter. And I don't know exactly how that happens. And I can't really give that to anyone else, but I know it's real because it's happened to me so many times. And I feel really passionate because this practice is the most reliable thing I've found to practice doing that with other people. And it's just like the best thing ever to like stop believing the nightmare or the dream because they're both like smaller than I somewhere know reality is.
Wow.
That's me wanting to do some stimulus. That's just so powerful and moving. Being with you there, Harmony. Yeah, and that maybe is a good place to transition to how do people join you guys in learning this and practicing?
Just before
Yes.
we just before we do that, there was something that came up when you asked your question, so and it will lead in, I think, to this. And it's a bit of like the history as well. Like I remember when us three were doing it, it was bumpy. Like it was great. I didn't know what the fuck we were doing. So I was like, I like this. Because it feels a lot like what I'm doing in circles. And I don't know what I'm doing in circles. Because in circles, I was doing a lot of just experimenting. Like going back to something we said earlier about the kind of we, I remember learning about the kind of we space. So I was sometimes just going in circles and then I'd kind of get annoyed with what's going on. And I'd be like, okay, we're all listening to this person. Then three people who'd not spoken to the whole circle pipe up and be like, I'm not doing that. And I'm like, oh, great. At least I'm getting some response. And like I started playing around with the we space could be fun. Even if I was sort of naming my projections of the we space, I saw that as like a valuable, like it seemed real and it got to a place. And so then I came in and us three were doing this practice and I just recognized things and started having these kind of experiences, exactly like Harmony said, and these kind of very free and like excitingly powerful experiences of dropping something that was really serious to me and frightening and trapping me a minute before. And that's one element of it. There were many other elements of it. And then I was thinking, like, there was a point where we were like, okay, let's get more people doing this. Like, we had a couple of random people who'd come a few times and they were like, seemed to like it. But there was a point of like, should we invite other people in? I was like, no, we can't invite people. This is a crazy space to invite people in. And we had the experience of people coming in and being like, okay, I hate you guys. This is just a bullying, weird.
Well, at first we invited people to come and we just did it. We didn't explain anything. We didn't set any context. We just started doing the practice and people were like, well, what is going on here? And, yeah, so it was like, that was not the right way to do it.
It was terrifying. It was like a car crash that we knew would happen, and then we just sat and watched the car crash. Oh, that was
And we were committed. We like didn't break. We didn't explain. We're like, no, we just have to keep doing it. We can explain later, but then later, some people weren't there anymore.
I want to, like, a really important bit I want to share. My experience through that was pain. Like, I would sit and watch people suffer, hoping that they would, like, you know, any minute they're going to snap in and then they're going to feel this thing that we're feeling. But it was like incredibly painful of like, I'm not going to caretake them at all. I'm not going to step out and just be like, hey, you know, like, look up here, then look down here, and then press this, this, and this, and you'll have it. You know, like, I'm just going to like hope. Yeah, it was excruciating. And then we have this amazing time. Like, some of the most fun stuff for me here is when we sit down and go, right, how the hell what are we doing? And we try and work it out. We try and work it out so we can explain it. And then we did a bit of that. We did a bit more explaining, and then people seemed to get it a bit more. And we had like a first session where people were kind of happy and smiling at the end, and they didn't hate us, and they didn't leave halfway through. And we thought, okay, we got it. We got it. But we hadn't got it. We sort of had got it, because some people would walk away with an experience. And then since then, it's just been the same. Like, we've just developed all these different ways that we kind of like, a lot of our exercises, I think, trick people into doing it. We're almost saying, look here, look here, look here, and then they kind of fall off the cliff into it. And so some people can get confused of like, that's the thing. The thing that we're really pointing at is the thing. But often it's not, because this is like, I mean, I just love the word counterintuitive. I use that now all the time in this practice. So much is counterintuitive and paradoxical and all this rest of it. But we're still trying to sort of trick people into doing this. Because when we explicitly say it, like we have through the whole of this podcast, like we have through whole millions of sessions, we either explain all of it and people don't get that, or we explain just one thing, which I just remember this one thing, and they forget that. Like 15 minutes later, they're like, oh, I don't feel like this is a relational practice. Yes, we said that at the beginning. Don't worry about that. So we are constantly experimenting. Like, how do we sort of trick people into do something that's so strange? Because even me, every time I come into a Stemless, I have to remember, what am I doing? Like, what's the thing I have to do? And then I have to try and tell myself in my head, but none of that works. But luckily, I've got some kind of muscle memory now that I can kind of just shrug off. After a while, I just give up. And that's what I mean about the surrender element. Like, I surrender something, and that's when I just start going, oh, yeah, this is it. And now it flows through me, and I'm having a great time. So we are, like, I really want people to know, like, we're working so hard on this. Like, we care so much. And it's painful. It's genuinely painful that we want to give a thing, and people desperately want to take the thing. And I think everything we're doing, we've got to a point now where people can come along. Like, I mean, you guys have said it. You came along and you had a good time. You know, you took away things that you were like, I can see that there's important stuff here. And there's like these kind of like foundational level things that we're doing that are, I would say, slightly different. Maybe they've been done in other areas, you know. But there's some kind of things you can come along, you can have a good time doing these things, and you will learn stuff. You will do stuff that you've maybe not done before, that's slightly out of your comfort zone, and that's like a total win. And then there is this kind of breaking through, this kind of like semi-non-dual experience, whatever you want to call it, that we've had, that potentially people will have. I was sat next to someone totally random who's never done Stemless in a bar the other day, who'd just done a load of circling. And she started crying because she realized she was alive, just randomly in a bar. And I was like, wow, this girl's doing Stemless right now. Like right now, she's just totally flipped out of the thing she's in. and she's incredibly impacted by what's actually happening. And I don't know why that happened. I don't know why that happened in that moment. And we're trying to sort of like offer that as like, we are having lots of experiences that are sort of like that. And these are the ways that we think we've sort of got there, or these are the signposts that point to that place. And yeah, I have no end to that.
It's sort of obvious that it's obvious and it's not, that just like owning your feelings often involves a little bit of discomfort. It shouldn't be too surprising that owning your perceptions actually creates a lot of disorientation. And to gain confidence in that confusion is, again, another one-liner. And so if you're confused, that's the direction in a way. And I think we did an 8-week course, 8-week closed group before. Some people seem to get a lot out of it. At least one person was like, what is this? This is a scam. I didn't understand anything, even after 8 weeks. That was beautiful. It was a beautiful stemless offering. So I think that's one of the things that we're going to do again, in case you want to get scammed. We are running an 8-week course soon. I guess that'll be in 2 months from now, is my guess. Even though we had planned to do it at the start of the year. You can find out about that, I think, through the website, stemless.org. There's a WhatsApp group link, which I think is the most reliable way to find out about just one-off sessions. And another thing is that we're going to be doing a lot of in-person stuff later in the fall across the US. So in case you're interested, if you have a group going, you should definitely reach out. A group going who's done some sort of relational practice and maybe is interested in this. If you're watching this podcast, probably you're a good person to try it out. You can shoot us an email at contact@stemless.org or contact us on WhatsApp. I think that might be the 3 ways. Is there anything else, James or Harmony?
Just, yeah, I think the best way to get in touch is join the WhatsApp group at the top of stemless.org. And we are going to do in-person stuff. Sahil and I are actually going to be running a weekend immersion in Vancouver, Canada. Not this coming weekend, but the following weekend. So we're excited for that. And yeah, we're putting together some more locations later in the year. Also excited to have James come over, do some immersions. We did our first immersion in London last year, which was really beautiful. And we're excited to have more extended time to work on this practice with people. The 8-week closed groups seem like they've also been a beautiful way for people to have more time to practice with each other and build some more comfort and trust with each other and have time to practice the many different skills over time.
Do we have dates for that Vancouver one? I don't know when this will go up, so maybe it'll be nice just in case for that one person.
It's the weekend of the 14th and 15th.
Nice. Yeah, and we'll have links to the website and the WhatsApp in the show notes as well.
And the writing is the Substack.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah, I think
Golly. If y'all, after you listen to this, go read the writing and you'll be sold, I tell you.
Yeah, read the writing, then totally forget the writing, come along and pretend that you've never read any of the writing and have zero expectations. But then when you have a question and you're like, but you guys are just doing this, remember the thing that you read in the writing and be like, oh, there's an actual article about the thing that I'm stuck on now. Go back, then forget that, come back to the practice.
So easy.
Pedagogy and stimulus, very.
I love it.
Thank you all so much for coming on the show. This has been so wonderful. And again, I'm just such a believer in what you guys are doing. I cannot wait to see what happens. And at the very least, I can't wait to just hop in way more. Yes. James.
Yeah, just one more thing. Like I've been thinking about this lately. Like, if people just want to support us, because we're trying to run this like a business. Like, everybody has to run this like a business. Like you guys, I love that you said you want to put food on your table. Like, yeah, we're trying to run this like a business. We're trying to get people to actually pay us for our time so that we can like really commit to this and make it more sustainable. But all of this is coming out of our love. Like, we just do this because we can't stop doing it because we love it. And we're like these weird missionaries. So, like, if you want to just support us. Like, we're really trying to do something incredibly tough. Like, what the hell are we trying? We've not got some rosy product that it leaves you in a cuddle buddle at the end. We're trying to do this horrible thing that you're going to hate us for, because we're going to constantly annoy you by pushing you out of your, like, I know what I'm doing and I'm great at it point, you know? So, yeah, if anyone wants to just, like, massively support us, or, play, do that, please.
Right on.
Yeah, that's an awesome call to action. Yeah. Well, on that note, I believe the container is now closed. Beautiful.
If it's ever really closed.
If it's ever closed. If it's never open.